Hi, everybody, and welcome back. We're going to concentrate this week on getting our midterm exams done. And our midterm exam is going to consist of our projects, our drawing of our warehouse that we're working on, and the scope document. And what you'll submit to me will be basically the drawing with some markups and the scope document with some of the editing done in the red sections that I have in that. Both of them are in the class shell. If you can't find those, please let me know. But I'm just going to go through what I expect to come back for the midterm and hopefully answer some of your basic questions. So what you're going to submit to the Dropbox in the class shell. There'll be a Dropbox that will open up on Monday, and you will submit to the Dropbox. It'll be a copy of your drawing. You're going to show the door lock set types that you use. You're going to write those right in the room. And you can use a key, and I have an example to show you in a second, and maybe it'll make it easier for you. Alarm contact locations, access control readers of any kind that you might use, and access control panels. Remember, for every 2 readers, you have to have a panel, and you want the shortest run possible on those. You don't need to tell me what type of alarm point on your drawing, whether it's a reed switch, a plunger, a motion, glass break, anything like that on the drawing, because you're going to do that in the scope document. So you just need to plot out where the alarms might be, the alarm points might be. And then you add a key so that I know what your drawing means, what colors mean certain things, what codes you use mean certain things. For instance, on the drawing I'll show you in a second here, I used PLS for privacy lock set. I think that's probably pretty easy to do, but you'll need to have a key so that anybody who's looking at the drawing knows exactly what abbreviations or what colors you may have used if you use colors instead to plot things on the drawing. So once you get your drawing done, then you'll go to your scope document sample, and it's labeled Site Scope Release 1.1 right now. So when you open it up, in the title block on that, you're going to need to change that to Release 1.2 because you're going to make modifications. Anytime a modification is made to a scope document, you change the release number on it so that everybody knows they're using the most recent one. It's not unusual to have releases changed several times in the same day, so a date is not enough. You need a release number. That's called your control, okay, your version control. And so make sure you change it to Release 1.2. Then go to the parts in red on that scope document. And for sections 1 through 4, you're going to tell us what types of lock sets you're going to use on each room and why. You're going to tell me about the lighting, and it's just the exterior lighting. You're going to tell me whether you're going to use access control, and if so, where you're going to use it, what credentials you're going to want to use, right? Is it a card, an access card? Is it fingerprints? Is it facial recognition? Whatever you want to use, you can use. Just remember, costs are going to become an issue at some point, and the card reader reading an access card is the cheapest version, and they go up from there. So just let your conscience be your guide on that. And then alarm points and the type. Here's where you're going to explain why you chose the type in just one sentence. I have fixed a glass break sensor here to detect breakage and vibration and sound of glass breakage. I installed an alarm point here to ensure I'm alerted of any intrusion, right? And then you're going to tell me also whether this is integrated or whether this is a standalone system or a mix. So it's kind of hard, by the way, to specify the lighting without seeing the outside. You know, this isn't a real building that you can go walk in Butler County. If it were, I'd ask you to go do that. But frankly, you can't do that. So I just want you to use your best guess as to what would be the best type of outdoor lighting for right now. We're going to go back and revisit that when we talk about cameras on the outside of the building in coming weeks. And so, just kind of, give me an idea of what you know about lighting, quite frankly. And it's only for the exterior lighting of the building. When you do your edits in sections 1 through 4 on that scope document, keep the red font. You go ahead and put in your narrative, but keep the red color because I have to go through, these are 5-page, I think, scope documents, 50 of you in the class. I'm going to have to look through 250 pages and do it in about a day to do your grading on your midterms. So please keep the red font in there so it's easy for me to find. So you're just going to go through and you're going to make your narrative, if you will, in that section 1 through 4 for lock sets, lighting, access control, and alarm points. Don't go any farther than that. There's other stuff in cameras and other stuff. Don't do those, just those sections. Keep them red. So the drawing is going to be the part that trips most people up because it's just something you're not used to doing. You're used to going in and, writing, right? Tell me why. Tell me what doors you're going to put a lock on and why you're going to put the lock on. I think you can all do that in the scope document. That's going to be the easy part, and you just save it then, submit it. It's not complete. I know that because the other sections you haven't done. Just 1 through 4 is what I want to look at. But on your sample drawing, keep it simple. Don't get too complex with this thing. Don't try to do fancy symbols, all that sort of stuff. Just use colors. Colored pencils are best because you can erase them. I used highlighter on mine because I'm using it as an example, and it's kind of hard to see, I think, quite frankly, on the PowerPoint. So I wanted to use something that was a little bit brighter. Just remember one thing. If a door is important enough to use access control, it's important enough to use an alarm. Important. Yes, let's change that. Let's fix that on the fly. Boom. Okay. Doesn't bother me now. It's important enough to use an alarm on it. So you want to know, if you have a card reader, let's say, you're going to use access cards to get in your building. Don't you want to know if somebody uses a crowbar instead of their card to open that door? And so what you do is you have both a card reader and an alarm point, a reed switch normally you would use, or a plunger on that type of door. So whenever you put it in a card reader, make sure you put an alarm contact right at the same door, because you're going to want to know if somebody uses something else to open that door. Even if it's a key, if they bypass the reader, you're going to want to know it. So just a helpful hint there to make sure you don't forget to put those in. So let's take a look at a sample drawing. So here's a sample building I pulled off the internet. It's a basic office configuration. And what I did was I used a key, right? PLS is a privacy lock set, OLS is an office lock set, SLS is storeroom lock set. Then I used an orange color or peach color for my access control panel. I used a blue-green color for a reader, and I used this pink color for my alarm contacts. So on my building, you'll see I have a main door here, and I have a card reader and an alarm contact, right? So that I know if somebody doesn't use their card to open it and still forces it open. I put the panel right inside here because it's the only reader. If you look at my drawing, I only use one reader, one access control point. The less access control points, the better from a security perspective, right? Less places to watch. So I have my reader and alarm contact, and I put my panel right inside the door here. I'm going to have an integrated system. I also have alarm contacts on a door. There's another emergency exit door, so I put an alarm contact here. I put alarms on my windows, these little drawing openings here. It's a pretty standard way to symbolize a window, right? These poor folks down here have offices with no windows in it. I would go crazy. But this guy gets 2 because he's obviously the honcho. She is the honcho. And so they get windows, and I want to put glass breaks on the windows. And I put them here, there. And then I put an office lock set here. And I put an office lock set here, and one here, and one here, and one here. I put a storeroom lock set on this door because I don't want it to be left in an open position. It is an emergency exit. I don't want it to be left in an open position from the outside so that somebody could just walk on through. And I put a privacy lock set on a restroom, which is pretty standard. Everything else is covered. So in this particular case, I would probably say for my outside lighting, I would put that in the narrative. And if this were a standalone building, I don't know what type of lighting I would use. Quite frankly, I might use low pressure sodium. It really depends on what the buildings around it have. But metal halide might be a good choice on this. But use your knowledge of lighting, and then just put a reason why you chose that. There's not a right or wrong answer on the lighting, by the way. It really is that you just tell me what you want to use and tell me why, so that you can show me that you understand what the lighting is all about. But this is the basic drawing. So for our warehouse drawing, you'll do the same thing. You can use different colors. Just make sure you give me a key. Always give me a key. And you can use different initials. I would just use these, frankly. For the lock sets, I think they're good. I wrote in an electric strike on this door. Since I have a reader, I put an electric strike here and just wrote it on there full, right? Because you have to tell me what you're going to use if you use a reader, whether you're going to use a mag lock or a strike. But that's it. That's all the drawing really entails. And on your drawings for the warehouse, you have a lot more outside doors. So you might have 1 more or 2 more readers of some kind. You're going to have alarm points on your outside doors, so you know if somebody tries to take something in or out of your warehouse, right? You're going to cover your outside. You might want to have glass breaks. That's really your call. You're going to have a panel for every 2 readers. And then you're going to have to tell me what type of lock sets you use on it. That's your drawing. It will accompany your scope document, and the 2 of them should pretty much match. So this is a very short lecture this week because it's just the instructions for your midterm. But some things I want you to consider. In a real life scenario, if you're designing security for this warehouse, it would be very common for you to have to contact the project manager for clarification on something. So if there's something you're not sure of, contact the PM. And I happen to be the PM for this project. So you send me an email or you contact me by text. That's how we normally do it. In this particular case, though, I want you to post any questions you have to the discussion forum that's labeled Butler County Warehouse Q&A, I think it is. It's the only one in there that's similar to that, Butler County, right? It's been set up for a while. There's already been a little bit of discussion. One student and I talked about what we're going to store in the warehouse based on the companies, real-life companies I gave you that would put this warehouse up. And he was correct in his assumption of what we're going to store in there, or at least pretty darn close. But I will check this discussion board twice a day, early in the morning and early evening. I might check it at other times, but expect that I'm going to check it first thing in the morning. So before 7 a.m. for sure. And then early evening, figure around between 5 and 8 p.m. Sometime I will check it as well, for sure. I might check it again other times during the day. But please post your questions related to the midterm there. If you have that question, somebody else does. If you're totally lost, it's okay to say, I'm really kind of lost on what the expectation is. We'll schedule a call, and then I'll record the contents of the call in a narrative and write it up and put it into the Q&A block. But this is a week where I fully expect to hear from a number of you. And those of you who have talked to me on the phone or have texted back and forth understand that I don't at all mind that. Student interaction is a good part of what I do, and it's really something I enjoy. So if you have questions, reach out. It'll be unheard of in a real business situation where you wouldn't at least once reach out to your project manager for some sort of clarification if you needed it. It's very common. It's that type of interaction. Do that through our discussion board. But if we need more, then we're going to do more. With that, if you have questions, again, contact me. Good luck on the midterm. These need to be submitted by next Sunday, unless you want them graded earlier. And I say that because if you have less than a B in the course, I will be reporting midterm grades on the 5th. If you have something done before the 5th and you would like to have it included so that you can potentially pull your grade up above that C, then feel free to submit it by then and send me a text or an email telling me you submitted your midterm for grading. If you don't have a C or less in the course, I'll wait and grade them with everybody else. But if you are, not doing as well as you thought, or you want to do a little better in that regard for your reported midterm grade, then feel free to put it out before the 5th, and I will grade it then. With that, have a great week. I will talk to you all sometime during the week, most likely. If you have questions, you know where to find me.